Hey everybody, welcome to workout number 3, 5 for 5. We're mixing it up today and we're gonna do a workout solely dedicated to core. Normally we do 2 upper body, 2 lower body, and 1 core exercise for 5 exercises total. But today, based on some feedback I got, especially from my very good friend and client, Diane, so a big shout out to Diane. And she said, why don't we do a whole workout solely dedicated to core? And I think it was a great idea, and it proves that I listen to your feedback, I read your comments, so keep those coming. So for those of you who feel like maybe your core is getting the wrong kind of workout from being in quarantine, you are gonna love this workout. One of the things to remember throughout this whole workout with every single exercise is you want to be slow, deliberate, and controlled. We want to take momentum completely out of the picture on this. So the slower you go, the more you will engage those abdominal muscles and really work your core. Now your core is much more than strictly your abdominal muscles. Certainly your abdominal muscles are a huge part of your core, but if you had a girdle or a Spanx on, every part of your body that would be covered by that Spanx, so your abdominals, your hips, your butt, and the upper part, your hip flexors and the upper part of your quads are all considered core. So we will be doing compound exercises, meaning exercises that engage multiple parts of the core in every single one of these exercises today. So it's a great core workout. We'll get started with exercise number 1. You're going to loosely have your hands on top of your head. So we're not pulling on the head, we're not drawing the spine, the cervical spine down and putting pressure on the head. We're just loosely placing our hands on top of our head, and we're gonna bring knee to elbow. Same knee, same side to same elbow. Notice here, I'm bringing my knee to my elbow. I am not bringing my elbow down to my knee. So you wanna keep your spine tall, bring the knee up, nice and slow, switch sides. Every time your knee comes up, you wanna exhale. So it looks like this, exhale. 15 times on each side, keeping that spine nice and long, hands nice and loose on top of your head, bringing knee to elbow. If it doesn't touch, that's quite all right. So if you're working out with me, go ahead and do your 15 reps, stop your video, and do your reps. Exercise number 2 is just a variation of exercise 1, and we're gonna bring opposite knee to opposite elbow. So hands loosely on the head, again, no tugging on that cervical spine. Opposite knee to opposite elbow. Again, exhaling each time the knee comes up, keeping that spine nice and long, standing up nice and tall, really engaging the whole abdominal region. 15 times on each side. Stop your video and do that now. Exercise number 3 is what I call a skinny bird dog. Now you probably have seen or maybe even done bird dogs where you are in a tabletop position with your knees about hip width distance apart and your hands about shoulder width distance apart. Standard bird dog, opposite arm, opposite leg. This is a variation. And I will say, a bit more difficult than a standard bird dog. So what we've done in a skinny bird dog is that you're bringing your knees and your thighs together, and instead of your hands in tabletop, you'll have one hand on top of the other. So what we're in a sense doing is narrowing your base of support, which creates a balance challenge and makes the exercise harder. It's the difference, for example, of doing this on the floor versus doing this on a balance beam. Obviously, much harder to do it on a balance beam because your base of support is so narrow. So let's get started. Knees together, thighs together, nice and tight. Your hands are still right beneath your shoulders, but instead of in a tabletop or shoulder width distance apart, you're gonna bring one hand over the other. I'm gonna start with my right hand over my left. I'm gonna extend my left leg, and once you have your balance, then extend your right arm. Hold for 30 seconds. Squeezing the abdominal muscles, especially squeezing the glute, the butt muscles, really keeping the back stable. And hold for 30 seconds, switch sides. Now, if you find skinny bird dog just is not in your wheelhouse and that is not something you're sort of, wobbling and your arm is touching down and your leg is touching down and it gets a little crazy, take your hands off of one another and place them next to each other so they're super tight together. That'll increase the base of support a little bit. If it's still too difficult, bring your hands a little bit further apart, maybe not all the way to shoulder width distance apart, but a little more than, say, if they were on top of one another or next to one another. So as you increase your base of support, meaning your hands are further apart, your knees are further apart, that'll make the exercise a little bit easier. But if you want to challenge yourself, then try getting your hands as close together or on top of one another and your knees and thighs close together as well. So 30 seconds on each side. Go ahead and stop your video. Do that now, or if you're watching along, here's exercise number 4. This is a variation of the very first exercise we did. We're going to come to a plank position, so a perfect plank position, and we're going to bring knee to elbow again, but in a plank position. If you're finding that your wrists just aren't liking a plank today, certainly you can do this on your elbow, and I'll show you both variations. But we'll start on the hands. We're gonna bring knee to elbow, exhaling again as that knee comes to the elbow. Right back down, switch sides. Knee to elbow, exhale, right back down. Notice, super slow. This is not a mountain climber where we're going as fast as we can. This is slow and controlled, really using those abdominal muscles and the butt muscles. If that's too much for your wrist and you'd prefer to do that in an elbow plank, come down onto your elbows. Nice long plank position. And bring the knee up. Either way, works great for the core. So, 15 reps with those as well. Go ahead and stop your video, do your 15 reps. If you're watching the whole thing first, keep watching. Here's our last exercise, and we are building, if you've been watching all of my videos, video number 2, we worked on side planks. So this next exercise, exercise number 5, is a side plank on steroids. Very, very challenging. And I'll show you lots of modifications for this. So, on your elbow, because our wrists have done enough for one workout, if you can, come up to a full side plank, raise your top arm, stay with me, raise your top leg, and bring hand to leg. Exhaling each time that leg comes up. Now, this is challenging. And if you're looking at this, or you're trying this and you're saying, yeah, no thanks, this is not working, Susan. you can come down to how we built our side plank in video number 2, where the bottom knee is bent, top leg is straight. Just lift your bottom hip, the knee stays on the ground, arm goes up, leg goes up. Much easier variation. So either way. So that is our 5 for 5 in our third video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Leave some comments. I read all of your comments. I take your feedback very seriously and try and incorporate feedback into subsequent videos. I hope you're all staying home, you're staying safe, you're staying well, and until I see you in video number 4, be well and be safe. Thanks, everybody.